Playing a very good opponent in Ole Miss, another top 10 team on the road. They played very well at home. They knocked off the #1 team in the country at the time at their house. Great defense. They've only allowed 7 touchdowns in 8 games, which is it really stands out. And also their defense has scored 4 touchdowns, so that definitely stands out. I think they've created 24 turnovers, so obviously that's got to be a focus of us protecting the football. That'll be a big factor in the game. Very good on offense. They have a senior quarterback. Has a lot of experience. He throws the ball extremely well. He's a very nifty runner in all of their zone read and power read game. As far as that goes, they've got some big, fast receivers that they do a good job of getting in mismatches and getting in one-on-one situations. Overall, it's one of the better teams in the country, and we have to go to their place. And they've been playing extremely well at home.
Questions?
Ricardo said one of the big emphasis for you guys during the bye week was being able to run on the perimeter. Is that just something you guys noticed when you went back and evaluated? Or?
Yeah, that was one of those things that, compared to the year before, we just weren't getting the production on the edge like we did the year before. So just tried to really make that a point of emphasis, and I thought for the most part our guys did a good job of that the last game.
Gus, on the final play of Saturday night's game, what happened there with the miscommunication with Montravius being on?
Yeah, that was the same thing that we worked on, that Thursday. And, of course, that's my responsibility, making sure that we don't have 2 guys with the same number, and we'll do a better job in the future.
Coach, you said, you were stressing a little that it's at their place. It seems like this year in the SEC, more so than maybe in the past, because maybe there's some even play across the playing field, but being on the road versus being at home. Talk about why there seems to be such a battle.
That's a good question. I know in our case, we faced the #1 team in the country on the road and the #11 team country in the road. So a lot of it has to do when you're on the road how talented they are and how good they are. At least in our case, and of course we're facing one of the top 10 teams again on the road. So. In our league, in the past, it's been tough, no matter how talented or how good they are in our league, to go on the road and play. This year, and on our side, just about every team is extremely talented, and I think every team is good. So, that probably has a lot to do with it.
The slow starts on the road, what is it? Is it just the guys maybe paying too much attention to the atmosphere? Or?
Well, the last game, we turned the ball over the very first 2 plays of the game. So I don't think the atmosphere really had much to do with it. It just, we got off to a bad start. We put ourselves in a hole, and before we looked up, it was 21-0. It was kind of one of those uphill battles, as far as that goes. And you look at the Kansas State. I think everybody's figuring out how good they are and how good their defense is, and that probably has something to do with it too.
I just got read a couple weeks ago. How important is that connection between you two on the road and before the drive and that kind of thing, to be on the same page?
Yeah, it's very critical, and like I said, we've been together a long time and know how each other think and all that, and that definitely helps in certain situations.
You spoke a lot after the game and last night about getting your edge back and the importance of running the ball. Can that coexist with being balanced, which was the big emphasis this offseason?
Well, remember, being balanced is being good at something, and then they try to take away that certain thing, and then you're able to throw the ball and when they present that and be effective. So, to be a good offense, you've got to have strengths. You've got to be good at some things, and then when they stop those things by taking chances maybe with an extra guy, you've got to have a complement to do that. And so that's what I mean by balance. So I think we're getting better. We were more efficient in running the football and playing with pace, and so that's at least we're taking the right step, put it that way.
Gus, in most of your career, it seems your teams have gotten better. Your good teams have been a good bit better at the end than ever beginning. Could you just talk about that process, and is this team on that track?
Well, that's been the plan, from day one, and we're going to need to have that happen. We're playing really the meat of our schedule now with 3 top 10 teams on the road, which I don't know another team in the country that's doing that. So, that's the plan. Our guys really did a great job of that last year. I feel like in areas we are improving, and that's going to be our big challenge, the rest of the half.
Could you just talk about what the key is to being able to do that, not just this year, but?
You know, I think it's all players. I mean, coaches, they all say the same thing, you know, but it's players really buying into that and finding a way that, to not lose sight of the little things, to figure out a way to take it 1 week at a time, not look ahead, and not get mentally tired. You know, that's a big factor. In college football, it's such a grind mentally with everything that goes with it, and the special teams have a way to not get tired mentally.
When we think of Hugh Freeze, typically think of offense. Is this how good is this defense and best one you've seen with Ole Miss since you've been?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd say it's the best defense that, you know, Ole Miss has had, at least that I've won against. And they've had some pretty good ones when I was a coordinator here before. They're extremely fast. I think they're very good up front. And they've got speed everywhere, and I think they're good tacklers. So, you know, this is one of the better defenses in the entire country. There's no doubt about that.
Are you surprised at just the amount of talent that they've been able to pile up in these first few years of Hugh Freeze and how far they've come along?
Well, I mean, Hugh is, I mean, he's really good at what he does. He's a great coach. He's a great communicator. He's got great vision. You know, so it doesn't surprise me because he's one of the best at what he does.
When you're going up against a secondary with Cody Pruitt, who's, I know I'm just hurt, but nevertheless, when you're going up against him and Senquist Golson, who's leading the country in interceptions, how does that change and affect how you plan to go about attacking?
Well, each week strategically, I mean, you're trying to put your guys in the best situations possible. When you play a very talented defense where they have a lot of strengths, it just comes down to you got to be able to execute, and you know, that's what they make you do. Their defense does a great job of making offenses execute on a consistent basis, which is extremely hard to do, and they don't give up a lot of big plays. And they do a good job keeping things in front of them. And like I said earlier, the big thing that stands out to me is they get turnovers. And that's going to be a big factor.
How concerned are you about the pass rush, offensive pass rush right now?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to improve in that. There's no doubt. You know, and our coaches are still working on that, you know, with different things. At times this year we've had good pass rush, and other times we hadn't. But, you know, that's going to be a big factor, you know, moving forward in these next 5 games.
Gus, obviously tonight is the first college football playoff ranking. How much at this point are you even going to be paying attention to it? You going to glance at it? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are tonight does not concern me at all. We have 3 top 10 teams on the road. I don't think there's another team in college football that can say that. We've already went to Kansas State, which is, what, number 11. We've already went to the number 1 team on the road. So, you know, the ball's in our court, and we'll worry about that when it gets to the end.
Do you view this Saturday as almost like an elimination game in the SEC race?
I'm viewing this Saturday as this is the biggest game on the schedule. We got to go there. We got to play well to win, and that's the only thing on our mind. And I'm not looking ahead and this, and if this happens, no, we're going to Ole Miss. We're trying to win the game.
Gus?
How much has Cole Wallace kind of improved? He's kind of had an up and down career, it seems like, from game to game. It seems like
He's a veteran guy, and you know, I think he's protected the football better. Looks like he's made good decisions. I mean, he's a lot better runner than people think, and you know, he's a leader of that team.
What did you see out of your offensive line last game?
I saw improvement. You know, I saw communication better up front, working together with all the little things that really matter. I really feel like that off week really helped us, and it carried over in the game. And so we still have some areas we need to improve on. I think we have a chance to even get better in the communication and those little things. We'll have to, you know, with the defenses we're fixing to play.
You guys looked over the film. How much was Saturday for your defense? Just Steve Spurrier calling things that you guys haven't really seen in the mix of.
You know, I think it was a little bit of both. I mean, I thought they played well, and you know, their head coach did a great job with what they do, and we had some communication breakdowns that gave them some things. But I think it was a combination of both.
How concerning is that, knowing you're going on the road again when you have communication issues popping up?
Well, I mean, it is, but we played, you know, decent, you know, on the road. Kansas State, our defense played extremely well, and so it's just a matter of us eliminating those confusion things and going out and playing good, sound defense.
Gus, you mentioned Ole Miss's defense, and they're particularly strong against the run. South Carolina obviously struggled with that, and you did very well against them with that. and you mentioned balance and being able to do what your strengths are. When you have a 28-4 run-to-pass ratio on first down against South Carolina, are you concerned about being predictable in that situation against a better rush defense?
Well, I mean, I think that's part of coaching, being strategic, seeing what a team's strengths are and trying to put your guys in the best situation possible, and each game is different. And so we'll see how, things go, and we'll have our plan, and we'll see if it works.
How difficult is it planning for a game like this where you do have not just a relationship, but you and Hugh kind of think alike offensively, you kind of have a lot of the same ideas. So game planning for this, knowing, hey, he probably knows what I'm thinking on this situation or that.
I mean, there's really not as much as that as you would think. I mean, you're worried about yourself and, doing what you feel like is the best thing to do. He's doing the same thing, and you see how the game unfolds, but there's not as much, at least from our end, of that than the average fan would probably think.
Guys, can you talk about special teams and trying to eliminate the mistakes?
Yeah, the big problem the other night was we had the punt returners are really good, and Quan coughed off the ball right there, and we had a momentum play, and then we gave them the momentum back, and we got to protect the football. That's 2 games in a row on special teams that we've coughed the ball up and given the other offense a short field and put our defense in bind. Some areas I think we've improved. I mean, we're trying to address the things that we've not been as good in. We got to get better in the kickoff return. There's no doubt about that, and that'll be a focus.
Also on special teams, is Jermaine Whitehead always in that position on kickoff return?
Not always, but he'll have. He's played special teams in the past, and he's a veteran guy.
So when they target him on an onside kick, and obviously this is part of his process of getting back, and you put him on special teams, do you feel that it was an error to put him there in the first place? No,
they executed extremely well, and they weren't actually targeting him. It was just that position. That's what they worked all week, and the games before he hadn't been there. So, but they executed very well. It was one of those slow things that as a guy, you're supposed to attack it if you know for sure it's going 10 yards. If it's not, you're supposed to. So it was kind of that gray area, and really it was a tough play.
Gus, understand Cody Core, he was one of the first players when you got the Arkansas State job that you kind of wanted to recruit to Arkansas State. Why was that? Why was that important for a kid like that?
Yeah, well, I thought he was a good player. I mean, I thought he was a really good player, and I think me and Rhett came down here to Auburn. We tried to convince him to come to Arkansas State, and he ended up going to Ole Miss.
I guess, you were on the staff here at Auburn, and they didn't really, early on, at that point, recruit him that highly. Why do you think that was?
Well, I think he was starting to develop into a really good player, senior year, like a lot of players do, and I think that had a lot to do with it.
What's it like kind of seeing him actually have success finally after a couple of years?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, we were trying to get him to play for us, and so, I mean, he's a good player.
Last couple of job stops for you, you've been a couple of years ahead or behind Dave Womack on the same staff.
Yeah.
What do you know about him? What do you talked to him in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I got to know Dave when he was at University of Arkansas, and I was coaching high school football, and I got a lot of respect for him as a person. He's a very good person. He's a very good defensive coordinator, and I consider him a friend also.
How old is Jonathan Jones? He's having a great year this year. He went through some stuff last year, including that this year game.
Yeah, he had some injuries, last year, and fought through some, and he's a guy that, you look at his size, and early in the year, people are going to go after him and all that. And I think, he's starting to earn a lot of people's respect. He's played extremely well for us. He's a guy that is a great competitor, and we're real happy with him.
Last year's game was awkward for Ryan Applin. I'm sure this week will be as well. But just what has he brought to Auburn, and what has he meant in his position here?
Well, Applin is a guy that was our quarterback at Arkansas State, and him and Coach Lashley, obviously that quarterback coach relationship, I've got a lot of respect. He understands what we do, just like Cody Burns did, and so he's done a very good job for us. He understands how we operate. A lot of pressure on that young man on Saturdays, doing the signals and everything that goes with that, just like there was on Cody Burns.
Although Ole Miss lost to LSU, how impressed were you with their defensive performance in there?
Yeah, I mean, I've been impressed. You turn the film on every game, and I've been impressed with their defense every game. I mean, they're very impressive. They're good at what they do, and they got some depth too. It's not just the 11 guys they put out there. They play quite a few guys, and whoever they put out there, I mean, they're flying around, and making plays and good tackling.
What do you like what you're seeing from Nick Marshall in the red zone specifically?
Well, you know, we've always prided ourselves on being a good red zone team. And, you know, we had the one hiccup against Mississippi State. They had something to do with that. But, you know, he usually makes good decisions down there. You know, and he did a good job the other night for us.
Gus, we know how important Reese is to the offense his whole time here, especially these past 2 years. When he's up for the Remington multiple years, he'll probably be up again this year. From an outside, it's hard to evaluate what makes a center a great center compared to somebody else. What do you look for when you're comparing him to mainly Oregon center who's in the running for that?
Yeah, well, what we do is like our center is like another quarterback. He makes all the calls up front. Everything's on him, especially when you go pace. And the center directs everything. He's a very good athlete. He's a tough guy. You know, he's been our leader. He's been one of our leaders around here a long time.
Gus, Rhett said Sunday that, you know, obviously Cap has been maybe more the workforce guy, but he really likes the way the rotation has been working. So, I mean, do you say it's, I know you never want to say never, but it's really unlikely that Cap could ever kind of get to where Trey was last year, where he was like 40 carry game, like the SEC championship?
You never know how the season unfolds. We have a lot of confidence in him. And this time last year, Trey was just now coming on, and you know, I hadn't looked at the SEC stats, but I would bet that Cap is up towards the top, and so he's capable. And if we want to give him the ball 40 times, I mean, he's that tough guy that we feel like, you know, he could do that. So we'll see.
Coach, you got to spend a little time with a former player, somebody that you're a protege of yours, in Josh Floyd at Trustville. First off, what does it mean to you to have somebody that aspires to follow in your footsteps, but learn from you and the role that you could play in their life?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm very proud of Josh, not only as a coach, but as a person. You know, he was the quarterback before Rhett Lashley when I was at Shiloh Christian. You know, he took over that program, won state championships, and was looking for a new challenge. Decided to come to Alabama, and you know, he's off to a very good start. And you know, he's really good. He's really good at what he does, but he's an even better person.
After Ricardo Lewis makes that mistake on the kickoff at State, you come back, very first play, give it to him, and then obviously what you did Saturday. How much confidence do you have in him, and how much of that is trying to build his confidence back?
Yeah, I mean, Ricardo's, you know, he's a veteran guy. He made some big plays for us last year to win games. I mean, he made a mistake. I mean, it was a big mistake, but, you know, he's a competitor, and he came back. We gave him the ball, and, you know, I thought that was a good way for him to get back. And, you know, anytime as a coach, you just challenge your guys, and he turned it on and did a pretty good job on that speed sweep.